Today we are starting in a comfortable seated position. So you might like to sit cross-legged on your mat or any other position that feels good for you. Using a cushion or a block to sit on can help give you a lift, which helps you to sit up even more straight. Be aware of the natural pattern of your breath. Observe your breath as it flows in and as it flows out, without trying to change anything at all. Just simply observing your breath. Notice the path that your breath naturally follows, whether it's your nose or your mouth. And notice the breath as it enters your body. Where does it naturally settle? Do you find that you're breathing quite shallow into the top of your chest? Are you able to breathe wide and full into your entire rib cage? Or do you even find yourself breathing into your belly? Take a lovely inhalation, and as you exhale, drop your chin towards your chest. Then inhale your head back to center. And so then we're going to hold this neck stretch, back of the neck stretch, for a few breaths next time. So take a lovely inhale, exhale, drop your chin towards your chest, and keep breathing here. So you feel your lower back really, really lengthening as your chin draws towards your chest, and you breathe into the stretch that you feel. As your chin draws towards your chest and the rest of the back lengthens, you will feel that wonderful stretch in the back of your neck. Make sure that your face and jaw are relaxed, that your hands are relaxed down on your knees or thighs. Last few breaths here, and then on your inhalation, sweep your arms around and up, clasp your hands behind your head, and support the back of your skull with your clasped hands. Exhale as you drop your chin down towards your chest and bring your elbows slightly forward. So inhaling, bringing the elbows back, and feel as though you're lifting the base of your skull with your clasped hands. Exhaling, dropping your chin as you bring your elbows forward. Inhaling your elbows back as you lengthen up, and exhaling, rounding your upper body ever so slightly, dropping your chin, bringing your elbows forward. As you come forward, feel as though you're lengthening the back of your neck by slightly lifting the base of your skull with your clasped hands. Inhaling, lengthening your torso upright as you draw your elbows back. Feel like you're lifted from the crown of your head towards the ceiling. And then exhaling, dropping your chin forward, bringing your elbows forward, slightly rounding your shoulders. Continue with your breath. Inhaling, lengthening up, and exhaling, gentle round of the upper shoulders, drop the chin, elbows forward. Last one, and release your arms down. Have a few shoulder shrugs and circles. Feel the movements of your shoulder blades on your back. You can inhale the shoulders up and exhale down if you want to link this with your breath. And just observe how you feel. So you might like to adjust your seating position to make sure that you're really comfortable, maybe change the cross of your legs. And then bringing your fingertips down by your sides, exhale your chin towards your chest, and inhale as you look up and over one shoulder, keeping shoulders drawing back and down. Exhale, chin towards the chest, and inhale, look up and over the other shoulder. Exhale, chin towards the chest, and carry on in your own breath timing. Make this the last round. Bring your head back to center. Bring palms to touch. And inhale as you reach your hands up, interlock your fingers, turn your palms towards the ceiling, and exhale, drop your chin. Inhale your head to center, and exhale over into a side lean. Inhale back to the center, exhale over to the other side, pushing palms away. Inhale back to center, and then exhale as you push your hands out in front of you, rounding your shoulders. Inhale, reach the palms up, and exhale, relax your arms back down. Inhale, reaching one arm up and exhaling over into a side lean. Inhale, cartwheel both arms up, and exhaling, extending over. Continue with your breath. As you move, keep your bottom grounded down. And be aware of all the points of contact between your body and the earth, the supports underneath you. As you extend over, feel that wonderful deep side stretch and reach your top fingertips up and over. So you imagine your buttock grounding down as your fingertips reach up and over, so you're elongating that whole side of the body. Also make sure that you're not collapsing into the underneath side of the body. So feel as though you can still breathe wide and full into both sides of your rib cage. As you move, make sure face and jaw stay relaxed and working with your breath. Make this the last round and come back to center with your arms outstretched wide. Keep your shoulders drawing down your back and away from your ears. This might be a big stretch across the front of your chest. Feel activated in your fingertips. On your next exhalation, twist to one side, bringing your front hand to the opposite knee and your back hand down behind you. Inhale back to center with arms outstretched, and exhale, twist the other way. Inhale back to center and then bring palms to touch in front of your heart. Inhaling, reaching your arms up, and exhaling, twisting again, bringing your arms down. Just let the fingertips land wherever they're comfy. Inhale back to the center, reaching arms up, and exhaling, twisting from the base of the spine. Let the twist rotate up the spine, looking out over your shoulder. Just continue with your breath with these easy spinal twists, only twisting as far as you're comfortable to go, and reaching up in the center. Make this the last round, reaching the hands up, palms to touch. And then exhale as you bring your hands down, rotating your wrists all the way down. Inhale, sweep your arms around and up, bring palms to touch, and exhale the hands down in front of the heart. Inhale, reach your hands up again, palms to touch, and exhale, rotate your wrists all the way down. Inhale, sweeping arms around and up, palms to touch, and exhale, hands down in front of your heart. Feel like you're drawing lovely yoga energy into your body. Inhale, sweeping the arms around and up, and exhale, rotating your wrists all the way down. Inhale, sweep your arms around and up, lovely, lovely breath in, and then one more circle of the wrist, exhaling all the way down. Wonderful. So taking a few lovely breaths here, observing how you feel, checking in with your face and jaw, lips, teeth and tongue. They are relaxed. And just tracing your breath in and out. And we're going to have a lovely deep neck stretch. So inhaling, reaching your left arm up, and exhaling as you draw your head over to the left with your hand. So that hand is lifting and lengthening your head up away from your right shoulder, which you are dropping down your back. So sinking the right shoulder down as you draw your head up and over to the left with the left arm, feeling a wonderful stretch into the right side of your neck. Observe how you feel. Keep breathing, holding this stretch for a few more breaths. And then when you're ready, release. Have a few shoulder shrugs and circles, inhaling, circling up, and exhaling, circling down. And then on your next inhalation, reaching your right arm up and drawing your head up and over to the right, as if you could lift your skull and lengthen the left side of your neck. Keep drawing your left shoulder down your back, as if you could put it into your back pocket and keep it there. And you can feel your left fingertips just grounding into the earth as well. Release when you're ready, and again have a few lovely shoulder shrugs and circles here. Inhale, sweep both arms up, clasp your hands, turn palms towards the ceiling, and exhale, round your shoulders as you push your palms away. Inhale, reach and lengthen up, release your hands, Clasp your hands behind you, palms facing towards each other. Roll your shoulders back. Breathe wide and fill into your chest. Feel your collarbone lifting. Keep your shoulders down your back. And release your hands. Shrug and circle your shoulders. A few times in each direction. And then coming forward onto hands and knees. You might like to use a cushion or something softer to kneel on. Hands under shoulders, knees directly under hips. Lengthen from the crown of your head to the tailbone. And on your inhalation, shine your chest forward. Your toes under into up cat. And on your exhalation, tuck your tailbone under and round your spine up towards the ceiling into down cat. So inhaling, lifting collarbone up and slightly deepening through the curve of your lower back, but not sagging. And then exhaling, rounding the spine up towards the ceiling. Continue with your breath. And you can extend upon this movement by exhaling, rounding your spine and then bringing your bottom down towards your heels, belly towards the thighs, forehead towards the mat into child pose. Continuing with your breath. Inhale back up to hands and knees. Shine the chest through to up cat. Turn the toes under, ground through the curled under toes. And exhale, tuck your tailbone under. Round your spine, bring your bottom down towards your heels, belly to the thighs, forehead to the mat into child pose. And next time you come into child pose, have a few rounds of breath there. Relax everything, relaxing face and jaw, lips, teeth and tongue. Breathe deeply into your lower back. You may like to turn your palms to face upwards, feeling this lovely stretch it gives you across your shoulders. And we can enhance this shoulder stretch even more with a pose called face child pose. So turning your palms to face down on the mat and spreading out your fingers. Push the floor away as you inhale and lift your collarbone up and forward. Exhale, release everything back down. So inhaling, pushing the floor away as you lift your collarbone up and forward. Your forehead will drift off the mat, but you're not using your neck to do this. It's a lift of the chest using the pectoral muscles and the arms and feeling a stretch across the back of the body in between the shoulders. Then exhaling, releasing back down. Inhaling, pushing the floor away, lifting collarbone up and forward into face child pose and exhaling back down. And making this the last round of face child pose, relax down into child pose. Then inhaling, rising up onto hands and knees, turn to look over your left shoulder, tuck your tailbone under, round your spine towards the ceiling, relaxing your neck, let your head hang down. Inhale through to up cat, turn to look over your right shoulder, tuck your tail under, round into round cat. Inhaling through just the center to up cat, turn to look over one shoulder and tuck your tailbone under, round your spine up towards the ceiling, relax your neck, let your head hang down. Continuing with the breath. And you can feel free to add child pose in as well. So you're looking over your shoulder as the exhalation begins, tucking your tailbone under, rounding your spine towards the ceiling, then sinking your bottom down into child pose. Inhale, back up through the center, straight into up cat. Turn to look over the other shoulder as your exhalation begins. Tuck your tailbone under, round your spine, and bring your bottom down to your heels into child pose. Continuing with your breath, all in your own breath timing. This movement will become more flowing as you get used to the movement. All in your own breath timing, so don't worry about being in time with me. You're just simply moving with your breath, inhaling from child pose up through the center, straight into up cat, then looking over one shoulder, tucking your tail under, rounding your spine and sinking your bottom down to child pose again. Resting here, release everything. Relax your face, jaw, lips, teeth and tongue. Relax your tummy muscles and your pelvic floor muscles. Find your soft, passive core. Arms are relaxing. They can stay in front of you, or you can bring them around by your sides, palms up. simply sinking and melting into the mat. The earth is supporting you. Feel yourself breathing deeply into the back of your body, filling the back of your body with breath, feeling that gentle stretch in the back of the body, the lower back, tailbone working down towards your heels. Keep breathing here. On your next inhalation, rise up onto hands and knees. We're going to do a Pilates exercise called thread the needle. So with tummy drawn in, pelvic floor lifted, thread one arm underneath the opposite armpit, bringing the shoulder and the head to the floor. But don't worry if you can't get your shoulder and head all the way down. Inhale there and exhale back to hands and knees. Inhale on hands and knees and exhale, thread the other arm under the opposite armpit. Inhale there, drawing your tummy in, lifting your pelvic floor, grounding down through your supporting hand and coming back to hands and knees. Inhale on hands and knees, making sure that your spine is very long, that you haven't become bunched up at all. And exhale as you sink, arm underneath opposite armpit. Remember, you don't have to get your head and shoulder to the floor. If not, just let your bottom arm be floppy and the supporting arm be strong. You're inhaling in the thread the needle position and then exhaling back to hands and knees. Inhaling on hands and knees and exhaling, thread the needle. So for this exercise, you only move on the exhalation. It's a bit tricky to remember that, but you're inhaling in each still position and then you're moving on the exhalation. So you may like to continue with your breath, moving with every exhalation. Or maybe you would like to stay in this thread the needle twist for a few rounds of breath. And that can feel so lovely. Relaxing the bottom, shoulder and arm completely, even if your head isn't on the floor. You can still relax the bottom arm and let it dangle and hang. If your head's not on the floor, your top arm will be working a little bit more. So it's a bit harder. And then when you're ready, feeling that you're being drawn up from your waist, coming back to hands and knees, taking a lovely breath in there and exhaling into the other side. If you do want to rest in the position but your head and shoulder don't touch the floor, you might like to grab a block or a cushion to rest your head and shoulder on so that that whole head and shoulder is supported. Breathing in the pose or continuing to move with every exhalation if that feels best for you. Take your time now, coming back to hands and knees. On your next exhalation, curl your toes under and send your bottom up and back into downward facing dog. So you may like to paddle out the feet, dropping alternate heels down. You may like to stay in stillness in your downward dog. You may like to move with every breath. Inhaling onto hands and knees. Exhaling into child pose. Inhaling back onto hands and knees. Curling your toes under and exhaling into downward dog. So do what feels right for your body. When you are in your downward dog pose, keep your fingers nice and spread out. Push the mat away from you and push your tailbone up and back. You are aiming to be a nice straight line from wrists to tailbone. And you may need to bend your knees a little bit more to achieve this. If you feel like you're rounding in your lower back at all, then bend your knees more. And it's always such a nice thing to do to stay in downward dog and drop alternate heels down and stretch out the backs of the legs a little more. The next little sequence is quite challenging, so do rest if you need to. And continuing to have a few paddles out for your feet in downward dog. And then find yourself a very sturdy position in downward dog. Get your balance, draw your tummy in, really ground your hands. Bring your weight into your left hand as well as your feet and take your right hand to the outside edge of your left calf, so opposite calf. Breathe for a moment, then come back to downward dog. Find your sturdy position, bring your weight into your right hand and your feet. Take your left hand to the outside edge of your right calf, so opposite side of the body. And breathe. It's very challenging. Come back to downward dog. Very good. Really ground the hands down, paddle the feet. On your next inhalation, come onto hands and knees and rest down in child pose. Have a really nice rest here. Have a wiggle and a wobble side to side. Relax your body. Turn your palms to face upwards. And then ground them down. Inhaling, lifting your collarbone up and forward into face child pose. And exhale, release down. Repeat a couple of times. This gives you such a beautiful shoulder stretch. And just release back down into child pose for a few well-deserved rest breaths. And when you're ready, inhaling up to hands and knees. Exhale into downward dog. Bringing your weight into your hands and your left foot, raise your right foot up, one-legged dog. And then bending your right knee, bringing your right foot towards your left buttock, twisting your hips over to the right, breathing here. It's such a nice open hip stretch. Stretch your right leg up, and on your exhalation, bring your right knee towards your nose, using your abdominal muscles, and then lengthen your back leg away from you as you inhale. Exhale, right knee towards the outside edge of your left elbow. Inhale, extend the leg back again. And exhale, right knee to the outside edge of the right elbow. Inhale, extending the leg up again. Super work for your core. Rest your foot back down, coming back into downward dog. Find yourself very strong, sturdy and stable in your downward dog. And then we're doing our one-handed dog again. So left hand grounds down as right arm reaches across to the outside edge of the left calf. Round both hands down back into downward dog. And then one-legged dog, reaching your left leg up, straightening it up towards the ceiling. Try to keep the hips level at first. But then bringing the left foot towards the right buttock and twisting your hips open to the left. Straighten your left leg up again, and on your exhalation, using your abdominal muscles, bring your left knee towards your nose. Inhale, straighten your leg out. Exhale, bring the left knee towards the right elbow. Inhale, straighten the leg out. And exhale, bring your left knee towards the outside edge of your left elbow. Straighten your leg back out behind you as you inhale, and then exhale, return your foot down to the floor into a sturdy downward dog shape. Bringing your weight into your right hand, take your left hand to the opposite calf just for a moment, and then ground back into downward dog. Inhale, hands and knees, and exhale, sink down to child pose. Inhale, roll your spine up vertebra by vertebra, sweep your arms around and up, bringing palms to touch, and exhale your hands down in front of your heart. Inhale your arms around and up again, and exhale, bring your fingertips onto your shoulders. Have one big circle with your elbows in each direction, and then relax your arms down. Exhale, drop your chin towards your chest, and inhale, look up and over one shoulder. Exhale, drop your chin to your chest, and inhale, look up and over the other shoulder. Bring your head back to center, widen your knees, point your big toes together, and exhale, extend forward into hare pose to rest here. Enjoy resting forward. Your upper body is slightly activated as your fingertips extend forward and your shoulders draw down your back. Your neck is relaxed, your forehead resting on the mat, and your bottom works down towards your heels. When you're ready, inhaling, coming up onto hands and knees and aligning your knees under your hips. Exhale, send your bottom up and back into downward facing dog. Have a few paddles out for your feet. Inhale, and as you exhale, step your right foot forward in between your hands, coming into a low lunge. So your back knee is down, and you might like to have some kind of cushion underneath your back knee. Press your hips forward so that you're getting a stretch in the front of your left hip, so the left hip flexor, and making sure that your right knee is not overshooting your ankle. So you're hinging forward into this stretch, you're leaning forward into this stretch, but keeping the right knee stacked over the ankle. So if you do need to shift your right ankle forward a bit, then that's fine. Few more breaths here in this deep hip stretch. And then inhaling, coming up onto your fingertips. Exhale as you draw your right hip back, straightening your front leg as much as you can. And breathe here. So it's okay for your right toes to lift up off the mat. Just do what feels good and what feels natural. And then inhaling, sending the hips forward again. Walking your right foot out to the outside edge of your right hand. And then having a few circles with your hips. Feeling all those delicious changing stretches around the area of the hips. Circle a few times in each direction, breathing naturally and keeping face and jaw relaxed. You may like to continue with this, circling, or you may like to come into stillness in this position, or extending upon this, deepening the stretch by coming into lizard pose, lowering your elbows down to the earth. And you might not get your elbows all the way down, you might just bend the elbows to lower yourself down a bit. And another option here is to curl the back toes under and lift the back knee, pushing out through the heel. So you might have the back knee down, you might have it lifted, you might be up on your hands. Do make fists as well with your hands if your wrists are sore, or you might be down on your elbows. And then grounding the back knee, gently pushing back up onto your hands. And so then keeping your left hand down, stretching your right arm up, coming into revolved right angle pose. And you may like to lift your back knee. Your top arm reaches up towards the sky, but you might like to extend upon this by bringing your top arm behind you, rolling your top shoulder back even more. And you can tuck your chin to look up towards the ceiling. Make sure your head doesn't flop back. Or you might just like to keep head, neck and spine aligned, or even look down towards the floor. Last breath here, release your top arm, ground your hands down. And step back into downward dog. Have some paddles out for your feet. Take a few breaths in down dog, relaxing your neck and letting your head hang down, breathing. It's fine to rest in downward dog, or if you'd like to come to hands and knees or into child pose to rest, that's fine too. When you're ready, we're going to make our way to do the other side for our lunges. So from wherever you are, hands and knees or downward dog, stepping your left foot forward in between your hands into your lunge again. So really pushing your hips forward to maximize the stretch at the front of the right hip flexor. Make sure that your front knee is stacked directly over the ankle, so pushing your ankle forward a little bit more, moving it forward if you need to be completely directly underneath the knee. And keep grounding into the top of your back foot as you push your hips forward into this wonderfully deep hip stretch. If your wrists feel tender, do make fists with the wrists, but we're not really putting a lot of weight into the hands here. We're really pushing and releasing down into the hips and to the feet. Feel your legs very strong, supporting you here. And then when you're ready, coming up onto fingertips as you inhale, and exhale, pulling your hips back, straightening your front leg out as much as you can. And breathe there.
Keep having the sense of drawing your left hip back to lengthen that front leg and stretch out the hamstring. You can have your neck very relaxed and your head hanging down. Grounding through the top of your back foot to help keep pressure off the knee. And keep breathing, relaxing into your face and jaw. Allow your mind to observe any differences between this side of your body and the other side. Maybe one hamstring was more flexible than the other. Last breath here, and then bringing your weight forward again. So the knee stacks over the ankle, and scoot your left foot out to the side so it's on the outside edge of your left hand. Circle your hips from here. And these are just very fluid, easy circles. If your wrists are tender, you might like to make gentle fists with your hands. Just keep flowing with your breath, circling around a few times in each direction. Let this be very free. Just change directions if you haven't already. Just movements. You might even find yourself rocking slightly forwards and backwards, or side to side, or making circles. Free movements to help to free up the hips. Lovely relaxed face and jaw. And then if it feels right for you, then lower yourself down to your elbows, coming into stillness in to lizard pose. You might like to stay up on your hands or just be on your hands but bend your elbows a little bit to lower your upper body down, just a bit more, deepening into the hip stretch. And if it feels right for your body, curling your back toes under, lifting your back knee and pushing strongly out through your back heel. Take a few more breaths here, observing how you feel, and then gently lowering your back knee down to the floor, bring the top of your back foot to the mat. Come back up onto your hands, keeping the right hand grounded down under the right shoulder and reaching the left arm up into a twist, revolved right angle pose. If you want the extra challenge, curl your back toes under, lift your back knee, push out through your back heel. And remember to feel lifted from your bottom armpit. If your wrist is tender, you can make a fist as I have here. You can look down towards your bottom hand, or you can tuck your chin and look up towards your top hand. See what feels good for your neck. Last breath. And then grounding your hands down, step back into downward dog. Pushing your tailbone up and back and having a paddle for your feet. Maybe taking a moment of stillness in downward dog. Listening to your body and do what feels best for you. If you're ready to come straight down to hands and knees and rest in child pose, that's fine. If you want a bit of extra challenge, then coming into a one-legged dog, so straightening your right leg up towards the ceiling. Bend your right knee, bring your right foot towards the left buttock, opening your hips out to the right, and just notice how this feels. So it's our second time in this position here in the class, but we've just done some very deep hip stretches, so maybe that's allowed you to feel different in the one-legged dog pose. So on your next exhalation, step your right knee all the way through to behind your right wrist, coming into pigeon pose, sinking your hips down low. Sweep your right foot across the midline of your body, just an appropriate amount, and that's very variable for different people. Flex the right foot. The important thing in this position is that your hips are level. So it's fine if they're up quite high, but just don't let one hip drop. So nice level hips, however high they might be. And you can stay here, or for a little bit of extra challenge, bring your right hand into the middle of the mat and take your left foot in your hand. Draw your left foot into the left hand, draw it into the body, and you'll feel a stretch in the quadriceps in the front of the left thigh. Keep those hips nice and even. And if you want a shoulder stretch, you can take hold of your inside edge of your left foot with your hand and push the foot into the hand. So you're giving it that little bit of traction to stretch the shoulder. Then with your arm pulling your foot in towards your bottom again to get the quad stretch. And you can have a little play and then experiment with this to find the different stretches. So last few breaths here, and when you're ready, releasing that back foot.
And taking a gentle twist with your upper body towards your back leg. So the right hand is grounded down, the shoulders are away from the ears. You can place your left hand just on your back leg as you rotate your upper body towards that leg. Come back to the center, ground your hands down and step back into downward dog. Have a nice paddle out for your feet. So from here, we're going to tuck the tailbone under and begin to round the spine. Feel that forward bend flowing up your spine as you bring your weight forward so that the shoulders stack over the hands directly, flattening yourself out into plank pose. Breathe naturally here. Elbows are soft, shoulders stay away from the ears, core is strong, feeling tummy drawing in towards the spine. You may need to lower your knees down to the floor, and that is completely fine. And on your next exhalation, lower yourself down to the floor in one long piece, keeping your elbows in. Inhale as you lift your collarbone up and forward, not pressing your hands into the mat, so using your back for this movement and keeping the lowest rib on the floor. Exhale, lower yourself back down, forehead comes back to the mat. And then inhale, coming up to hands and knees, feel like somebody's lifting you via a string tied around your waist. Curl your toes under and exhale into downward dog. Breathe here in down dog. And then for a bit of extra challenge, coming into a one-legged dog, reaching your left leg up, stretching it up and back. And when you're ready, bending your left knee, bringing the left foot towards the right buttock, twisting your hips open to the left, observing how you feel. Second time we're in this position today. Notice if there's any differences. Maybe your hips are a little bit more open than when you tried this before, having done some deep hip stretches. Using your core strength, drawing your tummy in as you bring your left knee to the outside edge of the left wrist into pigeon pose, drawing your left foot across the midline of your body just as far as feels right and flexing your left foot. And for extra challenge, bending your right knee and bringing your left hand into the center of the mat, taking your right hand to your right foot, draw your right foot in towards you. If you have any problems with your knees, then you can just release this pose and have rest in child pose. And then in order to stretch your shoulder, keeping your torso squared forward, holding the inside edge of your right foot with your hand and pushing your foot into your hand. So you're drawing your shoulder back and getting a delicious stretch across the pectoral muscle and the top of the deltoid muscle in the front and top shoulder. And then maybe drawing your foot back in for another lovely little quad stretch. And just playing with these movements, these stretches, the different subtle activations. So you can pull your foot towards you for a quad stretch. You can push your foot into your hand for a shoulder stretch. Release your foot down and take that little twist of your upper body towards the right leg. Left hand firmly in the center of the mat. Just rolling that right shoulder back and around. And then releasing back to center, ground your hands, curl your back toes under, step back into downward facing dog. Inhale to hands and knees and exhale to child pose. Have a few lovely breaths here. And you can widen your knees, bring your big toes towards each other, adjusting your position into hare pose. And breathe. So if you hadn't already widened your knees, then do so, because we're going to move straight into another pose.
Roll yourself up to sitting and then lifting your hips, tuck your tailbone under and lower your bottom back down to your heels. And just changing that position will give you a quadriceps stretch in the fronts of the thighs. Now you can lower your upper body back as I've done here. You might be able to come back to your elbows, but don't worry if you can't make it all the way down to your elbows. You can just bend your arms to lower your upper body down. And it's one of those slightly funny poses where if you can't quite get all the way down into it, it feels a bit too strong on the arms. So just do what feels good for you. And then grounding your hands or elbows down and slowly pushing yourself back up to sitting. Widen your legs and come into wide angle pose. So in wide angle pose, you may well want to sit up on a block. It's important to be centered on your sit bones and not rocking back on the back edges of the sit bones, so not rocking the pelvis backwards. You might have your knees bent, and that's completely okay. Make sure that knees and toes are pointing straight up towards the ceiling and the feet are lightly flexed so you feel as though you're pushing energy out through the balls of the feet. Inhale as you lengthen your spine and exhale, inquiring into hinging forward at the hips. And you might keep your upper body lengthened up, or you might let your shoulders round over, but use your awareness. Only round your shoulders if you are definitely forward on your sit bones. So the pelvis is tipping forward like a bowl of water spilling out the front. It's really important because otherwise you could hurt your back. So make sure that you stay lengthened, inhaling, and as long as you're tipping the pelvis forwards, you can round the upper body. You might feel some stretches into your back, but never feeling anything uncomfortable. So be really aware, and if in doubt, just lengthen back up to sitting. And so then over a few rounds of breath, slowly lengthen yourself back up to sitting. And come into a comfortable cross-legged position. Inhale, lengthen your spine, and exhale, fold forward from here. So again, you might not come all the way forward. Just listen to your body and see what happens. With every inhalation, lengthen your spine, and with every exhalation, you could inquire into hinging forward at your hips just a little bit more. Over a few rounds of breath, slowly make your way up to sitting and just observe how you feel for a moment, being aware of your breath. And then changing the cross of your legs. Take an inhalation to lengthen your spine and exhaling, hinging forward at your hips. Inquiring into maybe rounding forward, but always remembering to listen to your body. Slowly make your way up to sitting. And then bring your bottom to the floor And hugging your knees in, maybe lifting the feet, curling in close, forehead towards the knees, into cosmic egg pose and balance here. And then bring your feet down to the floor. Slowly make your way down by your side onto your back for relaxation. Make sure you're warm enough. Grab a blanket if you need to. And you might like to have a little bit of a stretch, maybe a full body stretch, stretching long, or just moving in any other way that you need to before we relax. And when you're ready, coming into your comfortable Shavasana position, so you might keep your legs straight. If you have a tender lower back, then it's really nice to bend your knees up, let your knees knock together, toes turn in, heels turn out. But if your back feels okay, you might like to keep your legs straight. So just do what feels right for you. Have your arms down by your sides, palms up. But if you want that sensation of the palms being down on something so that they are grounded, then have them face down on your belly. So that keeps that broadness across the front of the chest while the palms are able to face down. Back of the neck is long and you feel as though your chin is just slightly tucking in towards your chest. Face and jaw relaxed. And allow your awareness to scan over your body, noticing how you are feeling. Relax your face and jaw, lips, teeth and tongue, and feel as though every exhalation is releasing you more completely into a healing place of rest. Relax your toes, your feet and your ankles. Relax your shins and calves, knees and thighs, hips, pelvis and buttocks. Relax your spine all the way from the base to the tip where it meets your skull. Your whole back is relaxing, and from your wonderfully relaxed back travels out waves of softness into the muscles all around your spine, the lower back, mid back and upper back, shoulders and arms, elbows, forearms, wrists, hands and fingers, all melting, all completely relaxing. Bring your awareness up to the back of your neck, your scalp and your face, jaw, lips, teeth and tongue. Soften, relax and melt them. Just keep breathing here. Every exhalation melts you more.
Feel free to stay here and keep relaxing. But if you're ready to awaken, just let your head roll from side to side a few times. Have a full body stretch and move anyhow that your body feels it needs. Take your time and slowly roll over onto your side, spending a few more rounds of breath there. Slowly use the strength of your arms to make your way up to sitting and observe how you feel to be upright again, awake and alert, back in the physical world. Inhale, reaching your arms up, bring palms to touch, and exhale your hands down in front of your heart. Namaste.